the agenda in front of us. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, then we will accept the agenda as presented. So on to business.
Perfect, let's get to work. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for being here tonight. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our Division 22 standards. And if you guys remember from last year, our Division 22 standards are a set of assurances that we are meeting the minimum requirements for Oregon. And that's as far as curriculum, PE minutes, counseling, drug education, all of those things. And so what we have to do every year is we go through this list and ensure that we're meeting those things to be considered a highly qualified school district. And so like I said, last year we had 3 areas that we needed to focus on, get back in compliance, and I'm happy to say that we're in compliance of all of those things. And so what we did was in ad council, we basically took these Division 22s and everybody took, like Mr. Pratt did the elementary, Gina did the SPED, and so all of the areas that are theirs, Audra did like the medical and health, and we went through ensuring that we are in compliance with those things, and it's just a good reminder for our buildings as well. But I will, and I have to present this at the board meeting as well, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity if we wanted to go through those and look at what those are. So this first page is just what the actual form looks like, and this is what you'll see at the board meeting on Monday. But so these are all the areas. You know, there's the ORS, and then the evidence that we have, and are we in compliance or not. This second page here shows, it's kind of an at a glance. It doesn't give you the exact ORS. Those are really fun to read, and so if you're ever really bored, you could read. No, but this actually just gives a very brief overview of what that is. And so, so I'll just kind of go through it. So, you know, first one, like district curriculum. Essentially do ELA, math, social studies, science, health, foreign language, and what's the 7th one? It's a 7-year adoption. What am I missing?
The sciences?
The science. I got sciences. SEL is not part of the, well, it is now, but anyway, so it's on a 7-year cycle. And every curriculum we adopt, you guys remember we just did science. The year before that we did math, and the curriculum that we adopt meets all the standards, and so it's called a highly qualified curriculum. And so what happens is Oregon goes through, they screen them and say this meets all the Oregon standards, all of that, and so it is an approved curriculum, and all of our curriculum does fall under that. And so what we say is the first one is that we are in compliance with that. And this year we're going over the health standards to adopt for next year. Yes, ma'am.
Would this be, I know you mentioned, you know, Mr. Pratt did elementary school, you know, others did everything else. Did we also look at the online school to make sure it meets all this?
Yes, and so Jared Fuller, who is now the he does all the compliance stuff. We met with him, and that's part of our contract with the virtual school. Thank you for pointing that out. Huh? Oh, the COO, thank you. The COO ensuring that they are in compliance of all of these things.
Oh.
So thank you. Thank you for pointing that. Yes, we did. So, and like I said, in a lot of these things, we don't have to go through a fine-tooth comb, but I will let you guys know that all of the buildings and all the areas we are in compliance with Division 22 standards. There are some things that I think we do need to get better at, but right now we're in compliance.
So we're doing the bare minimum?
In some areas, and we, you know, something we were talking about, and so this is for last year, it's 23-24. So this year for 24-25, we already talked about. A good one is the second one, the Substance Use Prevention Intervention Plan. That's something that we're really beefing up this year. We have Red Ribbon Week coming up in October, you know, things like that, and so we're ensuring that we're beefing up this program. And so I know that was something that we talked about as the board, is our substance abuse, drug and substance abuse prevention, and so that's a focus of this year to get better at. We're looking at the health standards, and you know, it's like talking to kindergartens. What's the difference between a prescription and a drug, right? And how to know the difference of those things. And so, but anyway, so that's going to be a focus this year. And so anyway, so like that, the human sexuality education, that's something that we talked briefly about in our wellness committee, but it is also part of the adoption for this year. So, any questions on it? There's a lot in here.
I am very happy that you printed this out because trying to read it, you know, on my little screen,
Yeah.
drove me crazy.
So, and then last year when I did it, I printed out every ORS. Remember, I mean, it was like this thick, and it was like, and so anyway, so this one is just like way more easier to use, and but we're in compliance with all of it. So.
I want to ask you a question. So you're talking to kindergarten kids about the difference between a prescription and a drug.
Yeah.
What happens if you have a kindergarten kid say to you or to a teacher, "Oh, my parents use drugs"? What do you do with that?
Yeah, absolutely, and they will absolutely say that, and that will be something usually the counselor will meet with that student and talk to them, and if there is something like that and the kids are seeing it, that's something we have to report to DHS.
So the teachers are gonna teach instead of that program that we had last year, the teachers are gonna teach?
It'll be actually a combination, so
Like
like the
Lifeways?
5th grade, so like, yeah, the 5th grade Lifeways will still go in there, Corporal Rodriguez will still have a part of that, Mr. DeLeon will still have a part of that as well, and so it'll be a combination. Mrs. Rob will be a part of that as well. And so in the elementary, that's what it looks like. Middle school and high school, usually it's set by, not only we'll do things in advisory, but we'll also have our health classes to cover that. So, great question. Thank you.
So have you had any comments about the human sexuality part?
We haven't. I shared out the standards, the new health standards to our wellness committee. And so we're just kind of looking at those, but we haven't had anything currently. So but that's going to be something, a topic that our community would be very interested in, and I think it's appropriate in the standard. It's saying what is culturally appropriate, and our area is different cultural kind of diversity and mindset than other regions of Oregon, and I think that we have to adopt things that match our community in that, and so we're going to be doing that.
So we can choose what we want to adopt?
Well, it's going to be, it will be a state adopted curriculum. How we teach them what we do, I think, is going to be up to what we're going to say as a board and a community in that. And so there's going to be a little bit of things we're going to have to go through to do it, but that's the stance I'm taking.
So we can have some leeway.
Yeah, that's the stance I'm taking, yeah. And the whole county, we're going to look at things as a county as well, and because it's not just NISA, right? And
So you're going to be working with the
Yep.
other superintendents in the other school districts?
Yep. And,
Because it's like night and day between Portland and
Yep.
here, we're conservative and they're not
Yes.
at all.
and I think those conversations need to occur, and we need to just, instead of just saying, this is what we want, we need to actually study it and think about that, so. Yes?
Mr. Hawkins, to clarify, this year, you're reporting, this is 23, 24.
This is last year's, yep.
So when you talk about what you reported last year, that was really for 22, 23?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And so what I'm reporting on last year, that, you know, we fixed all the things that we weren't in compliance of 2 years ago. Last year, we're in compliance of them, and we're only gonna get better. So next year at this time, we'll have the same meeting and say, like, we're in compliance of all of these things. Actually, it's only getting better at those. So. Thank you.
So you're going to give us a short summary on Monday?
Yeah, so Monday what I'll do is I'm actually going to present this portion of the board, and I'll just say this is a report I'm going to actually give to ODE, and will also be on our website, and I'll say that, you know, that we are in compliance with all our Division 22 standards, and our whole district, including the virtual school, and that's what it'll kind of be at, so.
I probably missed the invite to the wellness committee. How do we get acquainted?
I will invite you to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, yes, and I think we had 9 members, community member, elementary PE teacher, middle school, high school PE, some other teachers. Anyway, so
Mostly staff then?
Mostly staff, one parent. We do have a student that we've invited in. Andra is now the chair of that, but we have a student representative coming in there as well.
Okay.
And but it's more than just kind of health centers. We also talk about food nutrition, and so it's actually a really big committee. And so when our policies come out, like the ones will come out in November, right? Is some wellness policies will get to that group and they'll basically advise me. This is what we kind of think, and then I will advise the board on that. So.
Do we have our school nurse involved in this, or someone from a nursing?
Yeah, so Andra DeWitt, she looks at her part, like the communicable diseases plan and that one, and then so she goes through that and ensures that everything's updated appropriately, so.
Other questions?
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. So, number 2, and actually I'm gonna hand this over to Mrs. White. She was in charge of the OSBA negotiations, and I know Mrs. Monaka was there, Mrs. Ramirez was there, Mrs. Robbins was there, and this is, and I'll just give her, this is what we're gonna look at today, and I do wanna go over kind of the TAs, the changes for you guys. It'll be pretty brief, just so you know. And anyway, I'll turn it over to Mrs. White and she'll go. You're up.
So we had a meeting on the 25th with their OSBA rep, and the whole executive board ended up coming to that meeting. We projected the collective bargaining agreement up on the Promethean board so that everybody could see the changes that were being made. And so we took their final changes and then just made some adjustments to some of the verbiage that OSBA wanted to change due to legal issues and things based on Senate bills that had passed. So we had to make a couple of slight changes like that and updated it all together so that everybody was in the same room, and then we agreed that we were good with what was written. And then they took that to their team, from my understanding, last Tuesday, and then they are voting, and their final vote needed to be in today, and then they'll let us know tomorrow whether or not they ratified the contract. So I think the biggest thing, if you haven't heard, is they're getting a 17% increase. And they'll be getting more insurance funds, so they'll get the same amount as certified staff now. And I think those were the 2 big key things that they were really wanting to happen, and we were doing everything possible to make that happen so that their rate of pay is going to be similar to others, if not higher, in most cases. So others in the area, we wanted to make sure that they were comparable for sure.
So hopefully we'll hear that they've ratified it, so Monday at our regular meeting, we can accept it and move on.
Yes, that is.
So, and the changes that were just language changes, little.
Yeah, most of them were just really minor changes. There was one that changed, may not use our inter-district mail, but now due to one of their changes in the Senate bill, they can use the inter-district mail. And so, you know, just like things like that, yes.
That kind of surprises me that it would come through the Senate, but.
Everybody has their own agenda on there. So, and I don't think we added that portion of it, right? I think we just left it out, saying, again, we made sure may not was not in there.
Right.
So we're saying if you guys want to use it, that's fine, but we don't need to add it in there. We don't use that anyway. I could see it like a bigger district, I'd say a Salem or something like that, needing to do that, but most people use email and those things now anyway. But so anyway, so we didn't think it was applicable to our needs here. So, and this is our contract, nowhere else's.
Okay, so, and when we renegotiate that contract, that little note will be there that wasn't put in for that particular reason. I mean, the only reason I'm concerned about that is because that little privilege can be abused,
Yeah.
Right.
so.
So can we get like a red line version that will show, here's what the old contract said, and here's the new?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that'd be great.
So besides the raise and the better insurance, they're getting a longevity bonus when the teachers are.
Yeah.
And one of the areas that we didn't get to come to a conclusion on was time clocks. And so we did a memorandum of understanding that we would meet on that and come up with a plan for the use of time clocks a little bit later on. So hopefully once this is ratified and we get that going, then we're gonna meet with their executive board again and then work on language for our time clocks, because we would like all of our classified staff to use time clocks.
I would like to be apprised of that meeting when you have it.
Yes.
And they don't want to use it?
No.
No.
And we're not saying everybody, just
Mhm.
Some certain members, and that's why we want to try to meet and answer those questions beforehand and come up with a good solution for people.
I mean, they agree time's gotta be kept track of, right? They're getting paid hourly. Are they just proposing it's completely on a, here's my schedule, you're going to assume I worked it?
Yes, which, and so there's just a lot of, because it's new, it's unsure, like, well, how do I clock in? What happens if this happens? What, you know, I mean, just all of those that we want to make sure that we let them know. But accurately paying our employees is important.
Right.
And so
And
that's
we have to keep those records.
Right.
Won't
We're
that
trying
make
to-
Christie's job easier?
Yes, and that was our objective, is that it will minimize the paperwork, because right now she's going through all the time cards, making sure that they align to what's put into ASOP for attendance, and, you know, all of that is taken care of. This would be automatic, she would be able to, you know, it'd take a lot less time to do. I know that their concerns, we did try to alleviate some of them prior to our conversation by answering some of their questions. They were like, what if there's a line at the time clock and then I'm 2 minutes late or 3 minutes late, what's that going to do? You know, those kinds of things that we wanted to assure them that while we're making this transition, definitely we're going to allot for those kinds of things, you know, that there's still fears and concerns about that.
Have we looked at a software-based version? And I mean, I've worked for companies before that you log in and clock in.
Yeah, we've looked at a lot of options, and I think kind of for us, the easiest one is if we had a fob, just to click in rather than, because everybody will forget their password. Yeah, I mean, just all of those things, and so we're just saying that if you just have a fob, hit there and then you're done with it. And we use a similar system out at the bus garage, and that just seemed to be the best, right? Because they used to be like, well, you could do your code, and you could, it was, so just tap it and go. So.
And one of the reasons I want to be involved in that meeting is because when I was working for 30 years, I used a time clock. And it's not a problem.
Just something to get used to.
Mhm.
Definitely. And like Ryan said, you know, our objective is to make sure that people are properly paid. So if they're working overtime as well, we want to make sure that we account for that. But right now, you know, typically they just put their 7:45 to 3:45 on there, and that's just standard every day. And we know that sometimes that varies, but we would like to help them and help us to account for those variables. Any other questions about the contract?
Anything else?
Looks like they got a pretty good deal.
And I mean, and obviously, we usually get it done by July 1st, but this process was a little longer, and there's a lot of work by both sides, and actually, I feel really good about it. It's still within budget that where we looked at, and we were close. We were hitting the line right there.
Yeah.
But so we are within budget on those things that we did set, and so for you guys to know that we are.
So it puts us within budget, but what about COLAs as time goes on? Because this calls for what, a 4% increase, annual increase?
So you have your 17% increase on your base, right? And then every year you get a 325 because that's your step COLA. But then next year it'll be, I think it's 6%, did we say? And then 6% the next year. So you're really looking at even the ones that it's a 17% base plus your 3.5, it's actually almost a 20% raise. And then the next year it's like a 9.25 because again, unless you're at the very bottom, right? If you're at 12, like you're not going to get the COLA. But if you're anything in here, you will get that percent increase plus your 325. So
What's that do to our budgets for coming years?
I mean, as you know, right, those things compound.
Right.
The problem is I mean, we kind of have a guess of where we're going to be starting with the biennium. It's in the long session this year to set that, and but I think we're pretty good with it right now. So, but again, it's just as Crystal tells us, you know, I mean, it is a guess, and we're kind of guessing on where we should be at, and I think at 11.3 where we're starting point, the math's about a 10% for us. So.
And this is a 2-year contract for our classifieds.
Yep.
No, it's only a 2-year contract.
But which will be really good because we'll be going into the second year of the biennium. Second year of the biennium, which will have I mean, we know exactly how much money we'll have at that point. There's no guess. So, is that all correct, Crystal? Is that all correct?
Yes.
Just say yes. Just so.
Well, come on, tell them no.
I miss a couple of
Make sure you
yes.
type that in too.
I'm typing that in.
Brian's right. Just type that in. Yeah. So.
Any other questions about the post contract?
And I want to just say thank you to Mayor and Mrs. Morinata on, I mean, it was a long process, lots of nights. There was, I mean, there were some heated times in there and some, but it was, I appreciated you guys' dedication. I mean, and obviously the representing the board and your guys' commitment to that and getting it done, so thank you to everybody on that. So, on both contracts, but so, just thank you guys.
Mine was pretty hard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prow, we're up. You ready for this one?
Sure.
So this is actually really, really exciting. The next one, we're on number 3, NES reader board. This was an issue that was brought up in the summer. And so just saying we need some sort of solution to this. It's unreadable, you know, and I mean, the point is communicating to our community. And that is one of the main places in the town to do that. And I will let you know that before Mr. Pratt goes, I'm going to hand this over to you in a second. I have been working with the city manager as well, and on this, and just saying, because obviously, I mean, I think the chief would tell you, they don't want a movie playing up there and at that 3-way stop and cause accidents, right? And so, kind of those things. But talking to the city manager on what that looks like, and maybe even being a community resource for them, like if there is a chamber meeting or something like that going on. And so, but making it useful to our community, like the one in Parma there at that park. Something of that nature. But anyway, so that's kind of where it all started. And then Mr. Pratt has taken over this project, which he's been phenomenal at it. So I'm going to turn it over to you, sir. Go.
Sure. Called a couple companies with the request to get bids, and so finding sign companies is an interesting experience. So Superior Signs is out of Caldwell, and then Golden West Signs is out of Garden City in Idaho. Near Boise. I've worked with Golden West previously in my other life, and had a good experience with them, but called them both. The idea that Mr. Hawkins gave was that also the dilapidated board that we have now, with bulbs somewhat working and not always working, is that we want to have the advertisements going out to each one of the 3 directions. So a tri-sided pylon is kind of what I've been asking them to do. What would it look like with 3 sides? And so this sign does have 3 reader boards on it. They all talk with one another. Each sign will be working in synchronous with each other. And it's only one computer that is necessary with the software to run it. So let's get into a couple of into these bids a little bit. First of all, the Superior Signs has a sign that can be turned 3 directions and be able to navigate that intersection there so that they could see the flat panel. I thought it was interesting though that this particular bid, they kind of wanted to stay with the old style, the pencil, and using that as the post and then the sign going on it. But also he was, in his particular directions, he's got the sign reader board coming right back to the elementary school instead of to all 3. I said, can we rotate that? He says, yeah, that can be rotated, but I said, well, you have thought about that before. There are also in this particular bid, what is not included in Superior Signs is the demolition of the old, taking it down and disposing of the old reader board. He said, well, I would have outsourced that anyways. I think your maintenance group can take care of that, And I said, okay, so that's why you're at $53,134. Okay, that makes a difference. I mean, there is a cement, there's 2 cement blocks for the cement posts. If you, 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, I think that is the footings. You do have to pull those footings out. So it does take quite a bit. I talked to Jesse about that and he just rolled his eyes. No, don't put that on me, Mr. Pratt. Then Golden West. Golden West, generally with their poles, they tend to make them look more like a cabinet pole. So you don't even see there's no roundness to it. It's a rectangular, 3-dimensional rectangle that goes up. The idea with what they had, you can see on page 2, there we go. And his forethought is that each road gets their own sign. And the nice part is from the elementary office, we can see when Miss Baker, or not Baker, Miss Book, puts in the reader board sign, we can see from the sign going down Thundering, we can see that it's operational, is what it's saying. So we don't need one directly back at us. Also, with their particular sign, the top of the panel can be illuminated as well as the top pillar. So the bulldog and the whiteness around the reader board will be illuminated during the nighttime. The sign with Superior Signs, the NISA up above the reader board would be illuminated, but it was a little bit different design, and depending on our city ordinance, you can move the sign all the way to the top and just have that be NISA, so it's higher, and each one did measurements to make sure that it was above the fence line. But the sign wasn't going to be obstructed by the fence line. They are color digital, 3x8s, and they're pixelated so you can actually run video, but obviously with safety, you don't want to distract a driver. So those particular videos can be no longer than 3 seconds.
What kind of guarantee do they have?
I am not exactly sure.
Because this other one, I remember when we put it up,
Yeah.
Mr. Weeks was principal then, we put it up, but, it's gone out, so I mean, is there a 5-year warranty?
Oh, yeah. I did not exactly get their warranties and ask that question. So I can ask them on the warranties. When I first put up a reader board from Golden West, It was 2 years workmanship and electric that they put in. And that's been, God, it's been a minute since I've done that. But at least 2 years, so you know, you run the board through and you find out what the glitches are, or if something was done wrong within the first 30 days usually. After that, it runs itself. Both are with software, Wi-Fi. Both have free, one of them has free software, the other one's a charge. The Superior Sign was gonna be a charge each year, about pretty minimal, $600, but still the same. The other one, the software runs off of any computer, and you can either download it, and I can change the reader board with an app on my phone. So they're pretty easy compatible. They're Wi-Fi, no longer currently. It's a direct hardwire line that is communicating with the computer to the reader board. And sometimes that line gets, it's been there, I don't know how many years?
As Mr. Weeks' principal, it's been a long time.
A long time.
So
Was he
conduit,
there when you were,
condensation,
Mr. Weeks?
water, anything that gets in the line could potentially be part of our problem with.
Are there trees in the way, or did they all fall down?
Rooting, no, the roots, the trees are still there. The branches have all come off, it looked like. But, so the roots and such can cause problems over time, and construction, you know, if we ever decide to grade anything in there. So this way, Wi-Fi. And you have a modem inside the school, a modem on the pole that talks to each other. So you can do any construction in between and not have to worry about damaging that reader board. The electricity is still gonna come from the same source that's currently right near the pole, so.
Nothing needs to be upgraded to the electrical for this.
Yeah, currently nothing needs to be upgraded. It runs off the same voltage.
Well,
So Golden West gave me 2 different prices, and the price difference is basically in the sizes of the sign, 3x8 versus 3x7. But their Golden West is at $74,258, and the smaller sign is $68,309.
Do we have the money for it? In the budget?
And will this company take the old out then?
Golden West will take it out. They have demolition in their cost.
How much space are we working with right now?
The
for
sign
The
size,
sign size,
you
yeah.
have 2.
Where writing goes on
You
it.
have a front and back, and there's 3x7s.
So we have the 3x7 right now.
Yeah,
And it's a little bit more for the 3x8.
it is.
And I noticed that they've been, whatever's in English then goes into Spanish, but Spanish seems to be a lot more.
Take up more space.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
that's what I
might want
meant.
to go with the 3x8.
That's,
It almost runs over, so the larger sign, and the nice thing is, instead of being limited by space with the lighting on the current sign, with the digital, it's pretty fluid. You can change the font size. So here, we're stuck with the font size. It does that.
That was pretty cool back in the day, but that was.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Will the sign be the same height?
It'll be a little bit higher than current. It will be a little bit higher. The sign currently is at 15.6. I think this one is set for 16.6, so about a foot taller.
So we just need to decide which company we want to go
Yeah, the companies and just the prices. This is pricey. There's no light decision. Sticker shock a little bit, but my one-sided reader board from Golden West done, and I also got the electrical donated, was still $35,000. That was back at my other school in Boise that I did, but now that, but to do 3 signs, I think it gives a lot more reader space for people. It gives that, it can be a NISA school district reader board sign, it's just not solely elementary. I mean, I never went into this thinking this is just an elementary sign. This would be something that the district could use, as well as partner with our community members, and should we ever have to have an emergency reader board display for some type of an Amber Alert or something, that sign could be utilized.
What kind of timeline are we looking at, like how long would it take them to make it and put it out?
That would probably take 6 months.
What kind of announcements do we even put on there now? Yeah, that's telling, this is how much I pay attention to it. I don't.
Usually there's a joke. I like the jokes.
Yeah. We try not to go
Days off and,
Those
All things that
yeah,
people
conference.
can look
Yeah.
at their school
Registration
calendar and
day.
see.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
But some people
People
don't.
don't read my newsletters, I can guarantee you that. And they don't, but some of them don't read the reader board either.
Okay, is this the best place for this reader board? I mean, if we're putting in a new reader board, if we have to move it to a different spot?
It would get the most exposure. You know, like this one is fine out here, but there's only 2 ways of traffic.
Right.
You do have more visibility, and you can go a little longer in your messages there, but that is, you get the most traffic right there. And so that's why we're kind of putting all of our eggs in that basket with it. But I will tell you, that this is the project, I mean, like, you know, we said, hey, we need to do something about, when Shane and I talked, said, hey, let's do this right. And so this is top of the line, 3 sides and those things. And as a board is saying that, okay, we understand communication is important in those things. Maybe we might want to cut down on our visibility and make it 2 sides, or 2 sides like it is now, and cut that down. Or we can do a red one. But we wanted to give you top of the line done right. And these are just proposals to inform you before we say, hey, we do maybe want to see it 2 sides, before we actually bring it to you guys for a vote or even looking at it or saying that we're not even interested in this, just try to fix it. And so we're trying to arm you with information. So.
Have we talked to anybody about repairing this one? Do we know what it needs, what prices would look like?
And that's not something that I've looked into, like this red one up here, because they're so old, they don't make parts for them anymore. And so, like, I know for a fact this one, they said, we can kind of keep limping it along. And so we just said, well, you know, what is this gonna be done right? And that's why I told Shane, like, hey, let's look at a 3-way. And so, anyway, but that's
Maybe
what.
on the pencil on the book, the paint is very faded.
Yeah, and I told Shane, I think taking the pencil out, being a little more classic look, so it is kind of more all schools like this one, would be my preference on it, but you have those options.
Back, both of these companies in February and March did give me quotes on a 2-sided with the same structure in place, and they were lower quality of sign because they could only go 7 feet only and those kind of things, but they were 28,000, 21,000, but using what's there, using the frame and trying to put something in there. So I do have, that's where I kind of generated that. Started looking at this last year because we couldn't get the sign to work for about a month. And people were calling in saying, hey, your reader board's out of date. I'm like, yeah, we know. Shut it off, basically, is what we were gonna do. But people do notice it, but it was 28,000, 21,000.
Just to put a Band-Aid on it.
Just to put a Band-Aid on it and put 2 new signs in there, but they would be colored, they would be video quality type, but these Superior signs had 27,700 and for a 3x6 it was 22,000. So, kind of, we've looked at multiple sides to this, trying to minimize the cost and looking at the software upgrade, because currently the software that we're using is obviously all hardwired in, and it's antiquated as to what you can actually put on there. And Tricia does the reader board announcements after we've done the newsletter together, and she'll pull out how it kind of gets done is we pull out 3 or 4 really highlighted items that are coming up for either the district or for the elementary school, and that's what we put on there. And to try to put some things on that she said, oh, it won't fit. I want to get it to fit. So.
Well, we also have to remember that this is something that's gonna last more than 2 or 3 years. This last one
Yes,
has been
at
there
least
for
20
20,
years, at least.
20 years.
Yeah.
So we're looking at,
You said what?
So that building's been there since about 98 or close to.
But I think it was there before when our old building was there. As I said,
That reader board?
was Mr. Weeks your principal?
No, it was Weeks was in there after. I was in high school or so,
So ballpark. when you were there,
94 when I graduated.
okay.
But it won't get you.
Early 90s, it's been there since the early 90s.
That sign hasn't been there that long. They did it something, I remember that sign being changed before, or after that building was built.
So it's gonna be that high?
I will.
But it's been there a
I
while.
love the picture.
Yep.
Yeah, I just remember Mr. Weeks was so excited.
And that's why they put it in.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to
it's a
see
big
things like,
step forward.
yeah, because right now it's kind of the middle, you
I
can't
will
really
get
see
you
what
a
it's, yeah.
time
I
frame
do
of
agree.
warranties and guarantees on the equipment and stuff.
Yeah, and I was just wondering how long it would take and.
Yeah, probably take about 6 months.
And this is something more than just for the elementary school. I mean, it's for the school district, but it also can be used for some things for the city.
Well, like you said,
That's
an
gonna be-
umbrella.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could-
so,
Maybe we don't have to rent the drive-in, we could just show a movie there. and
It's
close down-
absolutely just
Close down the
shut it down and just kind of watch it
It's
there.
limited to 3 seconds, Bill.
3 seconds.
That's it.
Right.
Neighbors are gonna take it because they're gonna stand the.
Sure.
No, they can close down.
Game this Saturday and another 3 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you,
14 hours.
Yeah.
do you think they'd be willing to do like a bundle or something to maybe ask them for a bid, how much it would take to get this one going, maybe put one at the middle school? Because certain parents, when they don't have a reason to go there and they just come over here, I don't know. But I
That
get
one's
it, it's
hard
all
to
online
read.
too.
Because
yeah, this one's.
I'm old, and by the time I'm driving really slow and trying to read what it says, I've already passed it.
Yeah, and I can ask them to give us something to maybe replace the frame in there, looking like a kind of a lower step one than this one is. Just, like I said, it's something video in there. You know, and I would imagine it would probably be in that same ballpark as that 20,000. Just because, like I said, you're using the frame, you're using existing, you're just putting a new actual sign in there. So,
Yeah, it's- and you get the 2 sides of this two screens.
yeah. And that's already set up for Wi-Fi. That's how we do it now.
That's that one's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to look at because
Good idea.
those are our, I mean, those are our advertisements.
But this one, everybody sees.
What I do like about the reader boards is that the reader boards access part of the public that won't go to our website, that aren't connected with our SMS, that our Facebook, I mean, it is, you know, a larger community. Well, that's where they get their information. And so that's why, for me, there's a lot of value. Because, like you said, like if a reader board is out, they're gonna tell you. And I mean, not even parents, like people tell you all over. And so,
And I'm sorry to bring this topic up because now you're gonna look at reader boards for the next 2 weeks.
you absolutely will. So that's,
Reader boards are like my squirrel moment.
Yeah.
oh,
So can we sell advertising on these? Can we use
you
electronic
absolutely,
billboard?
you
Let's
could.
recoup some of the cost.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of it, there's advertising around this one, as well, and I know, you know, like Monk sponsors and Pepsi sponsor our football reader boards out there. But, you know, we could go around and doing it, it's a process to say, but we can get the reader boards and then go back later and say, hey,
Or
if you
is
want
there
your
a
name out
grant,
there.
a grant we could get maybe or something?
Possibly, it's kind of just looking for it, and so it's totally up to you guys.
I think if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it right. That's just my opinion.
If we're gonna spend some money, just spend it and doing
Yeah.
something, and well, that shouldn't, it will be good.
Don't do something halfway.
But I would like to see how much it would cost to do the other one at the same time. And,
They'll
you
be
know,
happy
And get them
enhancement.
to, in
I
writing
mean,
to get a
if we
good
have an
one, too.
envelope, wouldn't it be
Yes,
helpful to be
yeah,
able to just have
because
that?
I'm surprised they don't even
Talk about that.
put it in these anymore.
Because if we get a 2-year warranty in 2 years and 1 day, it would go up.
That's all. You get it for your phone
Crystal,
and that's it, next day when you take off, get it happy.
should I be looking for a third company for the 3 bids?
Oh, you have to.
Okay.
And I think, and it kind of depends, do we call it 2 projects or 1 project? Do we, so 1 project and it
It's gonna
depends on.
be one project, and so if it's gonna hit that $100,000 mark, then we're gonna have to do a request for proposal and do it correctly. And
So,
it's not just 3
Yeah.
bids, it's,
so it might be, we might have to do an RFP on it.
Okay.
and- But we will,
I did
that's our
warn-
process.
I did warn these companies about that.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
This, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is we wanted kind of information for you guys, so we could start going forward and looking at it, so you have a ballpark.
That's not one they're showing here, actually, so
Yeah,
that's good.
the worst thing would be, you know, we do all this work, we get it all set up, and it's like, oh, we're not interested in that. And so, anyway, we wanted to let you guys know. So, any questions for Shane or myself on this?
That's good, thanks for all your hard work.
You're welcome.
Are we good?
We'll try to get you to read that report. Maybe a dance.
Put up a whiteboard and just have somebody write markers on it.
You
You're
still
good with
miss
that.
it.
That's what
I
they
didn't
do for
erase it, right,
specials,
right,
if that
right.
It's
person
a
is
lot
making-
cheaper.
That's awesome.
Well, I can tell you, after 20+ years of patrol, I've seen that reader board a lot.
Yeah. It used to be, this is the only place I got the weather. It's like, how cold is it outside? And then I have to park and then wait for it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Well,
fine.
usually it's to play this game of like, is it the right one or not? And then you look at the other stuff and be like, no, I lost that one.
I don't know. I drove by Adrian today. They got one pretty new. It's not that new. It was negative 127 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I've seen some out there. Like, that's
That's a
awesome.
bit much. Celsius. Yeah.
We got the Freon going.
Yeah. So, anyway. Perfect. Well, thank you.
Okay. So the last item on here, not the last item, OSEA, but we've already talked.
Yeah.
about
OSBA.
Oh, OSBA, excuse me. That's how bad my eyesight's getting after that long trip. Okay, this is my thing. I wanted to remind all of us that the annual convention is November 8th through the 9th with a pre-conference on November 7th, which is a Thursday. And I really recommend that if you can go, that you do. I'm going, Susie's going. Are you going, Jasmine? So,
I'll be there on the 8th and 9th. I haven't made the pre-conference, but I'll be there the 8th and 9th. So,
we will fill you in on the pre-conference.
yeah.
where's that located, Pat?
Pardon me?
Downtown
Downtown
Portland, the day after election.
Downtown Portland, thank you.
Yeah.
We need some of you men to go.
Can I get a police escort?
I will.
Good luck finding one. Good luck finding one.
I've been down there already plenty of times.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the Legislative Roadshow, OSBA's Legislative Roadshow is going to be in Vail on October 21st.
Yes, and I have something to add to that,
Yes,
if you don't
please.
mind answering. So what we wanted to do was put both your required trainings for the year and that roadshow together, to not waste your guys' time. At this time, the OSBA's training hasn't been reviewed and won't be approved. And so my recommendation is that we ask OSBA to put that off for a couple weeks. They're trying to get it done, put it off for a couple weeks, so if we do go, we don't, I mean, 2 birds, 1 stone, because we have to have trainings, and I think this regional roadshow is important, and so might as well do both those things at once. And so it is my recommendation, if you guys are okay with that I ask to get that rescheduled for us.
So what about the rest of the school districts in your county? Are they willing to, I mean,
We discussed that in our superintendent's meeting, and because this might be a possibility. I just got this today at like 9, and so that's going to be my recommendation. So I'm going to go to them and say, you know, if you guys are okay with that, is that we support this to get that rescheduled, and we'll work with the whole county on it. And
I would
obviously-
be very happy with that
I'm
because
all
that,
for consolidating meetings.
Yeah.
yeah, I know OSBA training is required, and I think it would also suffice for some of the city people, wouldn't it? You might check on that because it's the
Oh, so
training.
it's through the ethics. right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a training required by the ethics committee, and if city personnel, you know, if that works for them,
Yeah.
you know, we might as well try to kill as many birds with one stone as possible.
Opening season is this weekend, so that's good for birds. So anyway. But yeah, no, if the board is okay with that, I'll take that back to Mark and bring it to the rest of the county, and like I said, consolidate those meetings and make it.
So do we have a consensus then?
Sounds good to me.
Great, and you'll let us know as soon as possible.
Yeah, I will. Mark is at a conference right now in Bend, but I'll let him know to talk to the other superintendents, and hopefully we'll get it by Wednesday, Thursday, I'm hoping. So I'll let him know.
Because I know, I would guess that all the other school board members would be very happy to
Yeah.
consolidate one thing.
Yep.
Okay. The other thing that I had about OSBA is that not at our next meeting, but at our November meeting, OSBA is asking for a vote that has 3 different items. First item is to increase the dues that the schools pay, or the school districts pay, by 15% per year for 5 years. So essentially,
Wow.
yeah,
You can do
that
that.
is a lot of money. And essentially that
Just a
is,
little.
you know, will just double or maybe a little bit more than double what we're paying now as it escalates upwards. Because, Crystal, I don't know what we're paying right now.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but I will find out for you.
Okay. So, but, you know, it'd be nice to know what that number is, but, you know, to let you know that they're talking 15% per year for 5 years. Then they also.
So what happens if we tell them no?
It depends on what the other 197 school districts say. But they have not increased our dues, and they, you know, we're gonna tell you this, since 1998. So, you know, that's, keep
Bad
that in
Rip the
mind.
Band-Aid off.
Like a one-time
And
15%.
you can take that in a grain of salt because they have increased our dues on PACE. They have decreased the level of services they've given us, right? I mean, and so they'll use that as the marketing, but I want you to know, like, remember, I mean, PACE has gone up 17%, I mean,
Yes.
and, which that's a
Probably
legal
from all the
portion of
freebies they
OSBA.
give us at
So,
the conference.
yeah, just
All those
to let you guys know.
So, but anyway,
There's always a-
you know, that is just information, and Susie, Jasmine and I will bring back more information from the conference. So we'll endeavor to find out more. Okay, the other thing that they want to talk about are some bylaw changes, and these are pretty, they did not, when I read through them, did not seem like real major bylaws changes, but I haven't seen the total, you know, what the wordage is, just seeing sort of a summary. The third thing is a vote on making the LGBTQ advisory group into a caucus. Right now, there are 2 caucuses, which, and if that is not the proper terminology, a caucus, more than one caucus is not a caucuses, but anyway. You guys did not take Latin from the teacher that I took Latin from. Pointed out that caucus is singular, cauci is plural in Latin. I'm going, I don't even want to know about that word. But anyway, there are currently 2 caucuses. There's the color caucus, and there's the rural caucus. So this would be the 3rd potential caucus. What a caucus basically does is that they have, each caucus has a seat at the OSBA Board of Directors. And essentially, because it's not a whole lot of power, but the caucus person is able to influence some of what happens at that board of directors. So for instance, if the board of directors say, okay, you know, everybody's getting this much money, every school district, the caucus, the rural caucus, or the color caucus can say, wait a minute, you're giving us all the same amount of money, but it costs us a little bit more because we're a rural area. We don't have as many teachers as you do to teach that particular course or something. So there is just that little bit of influence. And so I will tell you that I am a member of the Color Caucus. I'm also, and I believe Susie is also a member of the Rural Caucus. So, and you're a member of the Color Caucus.
And the rural one.
And the rural.
I'm a friend of the Color Caucus, just so I
Yes.
get free data.
So we, you know, we do have a little bit of input. So, anyway, you know, that is just to let you know that that will be a vote
When
at
are
that
we
time. And
voting?
we'll bring back more information when we come back from the convention. We get back from the convention Sunday before we have our board meeting in November. Okay. The only other thing I have to say is National School Lunch Week is the week of October 14th. And I have not heard that our nutritional services, usually they invite us to lunch. Hopefully they will invite us to lunch. If they do, please endeavor to
Make cheese yum yums.
go to lunch. It's a good chance to see what kind of food is given to is prepared for our students. And I will be honest, there were complaints from certain board members a few years ago that, you know, our kids were getting fed really poor meals. Some of us went to the lunches at that time, and the lunches are very good. They're very nutritious. They have to meet certain guidelines. But, you know, kids are going to complain because they want mom's home cooking. I won't complain because I would like anyone's home cooking besides mine.
Except
So-
now you've taken a cooking class.
I know, and it's terrible. I may have to cook.
And on a Monday, during the board meeting, I'll make that part of my superintendent's report with your guys' invitation as well, so you guys have date and time. But yeah, I think it's important for you guys to, if you can, just eat lunch there and see some kids and just, they do a really good job. I mean,
Yes,
honestly,
they do.
a lot of things that we get here for our things are the things that we're serving our students, and so, obviously, not the cookies and stuff, but you guys, so.
And it's also a good chance for board members to connect with students and with teachers and staff, just to find out what's going on in our schools.
I have a question about the middle school. They have the picture of the school, the board members, and they're like, what, 4 years old?
So
So they
Tori
don't
Ramirez is still up there.
They don't even know who the new board
I
members
apologize.
are.
I'll get that changed tomorrow. I apologize on that. I changed one in the gym. I'm sorry, I'll get that changed.
So if you were going to have lunch with them, they would be like, who are you? Anyways.
They always say that to me anyway.
You do have your badge, by the way. So,
Oh, and that's the
Yes,
other
that.
thing. We're all supposed to be wearing our little tags.
Here.
Yeah. Mine's in my purse because I need to get a new one.
Everybody has
Gentlemen.
theirs.
What's wrong with the
Mine's in my
lanyard?
car.
You have to get a cool one.
It's just that every time you put it on, it just like, it's backwards. So they can really see the picture. And with something like this, it states,
Yeah.
and somebody else put a sticker over the face because they want to be somebody else.
We're not saying no.
We don't say names, but,
Angelina Jolie.
but see,
Is that what it says on it now?
No, the picture.
the picture.
She actually found a sticker and put it on there, so just give you a heads up on that.
So anyway, is there
I
anything
do.
else?
You said you wanted us to go to the, chamber meeting and something else. Do you have times and?
Yes.
Yeah, so the chamber meeting is tomorrow, and I wanted to say it's at 6:30.
It's the same time as city council.
Yes, and so that's tomorrow. They've invited us to come in, and when they honored our maintenance custodial here, I think 3 weeks ago with the lunch, just everything with Thunder Age, but they really want us to continue to partner together, because when we do some amazing things. And so we're gonna be there. I have athletic passes to give to all the chamber board members, because we want them in our games anytime we can. And so, but I will be there, and I if you guys do have time, to show up as well. So
Where is it?
Okay.
I think
Right in front of my house, right by the car wash, that, used to be the
Is it Simply
Waldo.
Balance?
wall, yeah.
Yeah.
Simply Balance, it used to be the Waldo building.
Oh, okay.
In there, got
It's again, what, date and time?
I think it's tomorrow at 6:30.
And did you say you were going to senior citizens or something?
Yeah, I will go to the
Not yet.
the senior citizens do their lunch on the second Tuesday or something like that of every month. I will be going there, inviting a couple of our admin to go just to kind of give an update if you guys would like to go.
Too young.
Yeah, that would be great. Just to, and that's another part of, we used to go all the time, and we've gotten away from that, but just connecting them. Hey, because like the high school, hey, here's homecoming. We'd like to see you there.
Well, and third
Next
graders
week.
used to go sing there, Mr. Pratt, every year.
I think they
The
still,
senior center.
they still do Christmas time with the kids.
Yeah. Do they go sing for the seniors? Senior
They
center?
didn't last year, Ms.
Did they?
Bancourt.
When I taught
Went
third
the whole
grade.
mile, but I encourage it
And they let us stay and play
to
bingo.
read with them too.
Yes.
You know, and that is one of the things I would like to add to our board priorities is our community and family engagement, as well as advocacy. And I'm talking about advocacy in particular at the legislative session, only because this upcoming session is the long session. So,
You are prepared.
not that I'm particularly excited about political things, but I think Ryan and Susie would do a great job at that sort of thing. And also Jasmine.
Yes, Jasmine would do
Me no
an amazing
comprende
job.
inglés.
Yeah, that-
And that is the reason that we need to have you there. No complaints.
I did that
So-
at school.
Okay, is there anything else anyone would like to bring up? Anything we should know about our city safety or something say? Hey, I will tell you that when I was in,
Stop sign.
when I was in Spain, two of the people on this tour are retired cops. And they have the national police as well as city police in Spain, and the national police were making a huge presence in Cordova. And, you know, they're standing there with their ARs out, and I'm going, what in the world is going on? Because, you know, it's tourist season. But anyway, one of the gals who was a former police officer went over, showed them her shield, and had her picture taken with them, with their AK slung around the front. It was quite impressive. But, you know, in talking with them, they said this is just what their normal presence is. And I'll be honest, they were kind of scary.
You guys don't have AK-47, do you?
What's that?
You guys don't have those kind of guns, do you?
And he's
At
not
home?
gonna, he's not
They have
gonna
it at
tell
home.
us.
No, I mean, in the police car, the AK-47s or whatever.
AKs never are. AKs are.
But-
Russian.
He's like,
Yeah.
request. You're requesting it.
Not paid for it though.
So, and is there anything more that we need to know about those
Yes.
policies?
Yeah, can we?
That you went over so thoroughly, which I loved.
Are we good to?
Shut off the camera.
Huh?
Shut off that, it's just a meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Visit.
At this time, then, we will call this meeting adjourned.